Good morning. It is Friday, August the 7th, about 10 o'clock a.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson of Leading Edge Weather bringing you a final forecast, just to follow up from the skipper's meeting for the Savannah Cup Race 2020. This is going to be starting today at 4 o'clock p.m. at the Charleston Yacht Club starting line in the harbor, out to G15 at the jetties, and then down all the way to just off the Tybee Island at the Savannah River entrance. So the best of luck to all the racers today. Let me go ahead and minimize myself to the corner here. Here's the Cora website where you can find the information, skipper's info. Offshore wind and weather is where you'll find all of the forecasts leading up to today. Not much has changed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the surface map. We still have the same features in place, and what we're expecting here is this high pressure to draw in a southerly flow as we've been forecasting all week long. Looks like it's a rather weak area of high pressure, so the ridge is not as strong to get more than modest flow. We may get some southwest nocturnal jetting tonight that may come up a little bit. We'll talk about that in just a second when we run this forward in time as we get into tonight and overnight into Saturday morning, and not much changes. So it looks like that Atlantic high pressure holds the front inland. It's sort of caught in between high pressures, and it's lingering mid-state to upstate. It's more or less inland troughing. And so those features have been what has been giving us a lot of scattered thunderstorms throughout the day, with weak ridging in the Atlantic, plus that inland troughing. Those two meeting together, we end up getting some storms and some convective lines in between. We saw it early this morning, so that's not to say we couldn't see that again tonight, overnight hours. So be on the lookout for some convective activities offshore. You probably a little bit more further north along the Charleston area, but not ruling out a possibility for some activity down near the Savannah area. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Weather Service, and they're just calling for scattered showers and thunderstorms that shift from onshore today towards the coast tonight, with some possible convection overnight during the nocturnal phase. Let's go ahead and take a look at sail flow, and we'll look at just at the start here. We'll take not Plum Island, of course, but we'll take the Fort Sumter Front Range Light, and I've called for basically about 10 to 14 knots start for the sea breeze just inside the harbor. I know there's 8 to 12 modest basically forecast for today, but it tends to get a little bit higher later in the afternoon, just for a little bit during the start, and then it kind of calms down in the evening. So I'll go ahead and stick with that. Let's take a look at the free forecast, and this is just a blended outlook that shows generalized. I'll go ahead and go to the NAM3 just to get a better perspective here, and it looks like they're calling for about 7 knots with 10 knots. It varies from model to model depending on what you're looking at, but the blended quick look usually gives you a better idea from a higher resolution model. So right around 10 knots to start, maybe some gusts a little bit higher than that. And then we also got to watch for storms in the late afternoon hours, so that'll be something to contend with. Now as you go offshore and you hit G15 and you start to turn and make your way to the south, I'll just go ahead and pick the Fripp nearshore buoy as a closer in. Now I know a lot of you might be going 20 to 30 nautical miles out, or maybe even a little bit beyond that. But Fripp nearshore buoy basically showing some of what I was talking about here. Now, one thing to be concerned is if the wind switch directions from the south to the south-southwest or even southwest. That usually happens during the nocturnal jetting phase in the early morning hours, even starting at nighttime, somewhere around 11 o'clock p.m. where things sort of ramp up a little bit. We're looking at 12 to 14 knots with gusts actually at 14, but we could see 15 to 16 knots at times, especially a little bit further out. You may see some fluctuations from 30 nautical miles to 10 nautical miles, depending on where you are. And again, watch out for a little bit of convective activity. This particular model blend goes off of the HER 18 to 36 hours, so it's the HER 3-kilometer model, showing a few storms or showers right around the 4, 5 to 7 a.m. mark. So right there, just before sunrise and just after sunrise, is the possibility for that one. Now that run, it may dissipate by the next hour when it comes through. If we take a look at the HER, and we go from hour 1, we're going to go through the day. Let me go ahead and blow this up a little bit and run it forward. So here we are, we go into time, we look at Friday afternoon, we see some of the convective activities, just spotty, very isolated all throughout. We may see some heavier lines over the Charleston area that's not quite seeing just yet, but as we get into Friday night tonight and into the early morning hours, looks like a lot of that activity sort of fizzles out. We do have a little bit of splotchiness going on to our south right about 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. and in through the night hours, and then it looks like maybe one more blip early Saturday morning around sunrise that pops up. That's probably what the Fripp nearshore buoy was showing, a little isolated convection going on at that point in time, and then pretty much clear until at least the late morning to afternoon hours into Saturday. So if you're thinking about coming back Saturday, just be aware that there may be some near-shore thunderstorms going on, usually more limited to the sea breeze and the sea breeze front just inland, where those storms do develop after the sun does come up. So just be aware, not much has changed. We look at the near-shore wave prediction system. Let's go back to, looks like it's going a little further out, and here we go today. Now this particular model is a little bit higher resolution, so it's using a little bit of the NAM mixed in with the GFS, but this is more GFS and WaveWatch 3 driven, and this keeps the swell coming in from the southeast or east-southeast for the most part to those particular distances out from shore, so 20-30 nautical miles out. It holds that direction for the most part. Now you'll notice in sail flow that it does shift directions from the south, and we talked about that in last night's briefing, that if there was a shift from the southeast, that the period would go from 10 seconds down to 4 seconds. So we're seeing a little bit of toggling with that, and you can see that right here in this little area where it goes from 10 seconds and then it drops down to 8, 6, 4, 6 by tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning. That would mean it just gets a little bit rougher. However, the NWPS is showing that the swell direction holds from the southeast, which means we keep that 10-second period. So we want 2, maybe 3 feet at the most, with the 10-second period would be a lot smoother actually. Now if we do get a cross cut from the south-southwest with nocturnal jetting, that would make it a little bit rougher. So be aware to prepare yourselves for maybe a small bump in the hours as the swell shifts. If we get a southerly shift in the primary, and then we back into the southerly shift on the secondary, and then we back into the primary southeast swell, then we'll be better off that way. So nothing, like I said, nothing's changed very much except for possibly that swell shortening for a period of time. And the winds look like they're right on point. We're going to be right around 10, maybe up to 14 knots in gusts as you leave the harbor, cut the corner, and head south. And then we're looking at just modest 8 to 12 knot breezes pretty much for the most part. Overnight, again, recap, watch for those nocturnal jets. We get into Saturday morning after sunrise. Things get back to normal, and then we see a steady rise up through noon, right back into that 8 or 9 to 13 knot phase for Saturday afternoon for the most part. So again, another area of scattered thunderstorms possible as we have weak ridging in the Atlantic, plus inland troughing still left over from plenty of moisture dropped for days past. And that will do it for this final forecast for the Savannah Cup Race 2020. Gentlemen, good luck out there, and I'll post this to the website here shortly, and we'll see you soon. Have fun out there.